wish we could talk about legal stuff, but you can't give away your secrets on here.
We could talk about some of it, but
Yeah, true. But let's jump into it if you're good.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to Articulate with Steve McJones. Welcome this. Oh, I hate doing that. Welcome, Lydia Ellsworth. How you doing, Lydia?
Yay, I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Doing fine.
Fine. It's just like slowly. I'm doing terrible. I
Wait,
can't.
actually?
Yeah.
No, yeah. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. I'm really excited because we've been trying to plan something for like a year now, and I'm glad that
Oh,
you.
wow, true. I guess it has been a while.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very sought after.
Yeah, you're just too busy.
So,
Yeah.
Had to squeeze you in, but here I am.
Yeah, it's also crazy. You live like 5 minutes away, so we could have
Yeah, I
just done
know.
this.
It was a very chill walk over here.
Nice. But yeah, we're here to talk today about going to a Christian college.
Yeah.
Very interesting
that.
topic. Yeah. All right. So yeah, background. Like your family Catholic, Christian, always kind of growing up.
Well, so yeah, Christian, not Catholic. My dad's family is Catholic, but my mom, he converted. Which sounds like, I don't know, you never think of Christians just converting to
just
another.
turn
But yeah,
into-
he converted to a Protestant for my mom. Our church was Methodist and Presbyterian.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I feel like Protestant is like a lot chiller than Catholic or.
Yeah, for sure. But there's also a spectrum.
Oh, okay.
So I would say like Methodists are like, I guess like closer to like Catholics, because it's like, you know how there's like Lutherans,
Yeah.
and they kind of have like a lot more like similar structure to Catholicism than like the Baptists maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Methodists I think like had the most rules, but then Presbyterians were more chill. So because Methodists technically aren't supposed to drink.
Really?
Yeah, but Presbyterians can.
Yeah,
so.
Catholics definitely can. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
We have wine
Yeah.
in church.
Oh yeah, no, we had juice in church.
Oh, really?
Grape juice. It was really good.
Better than wine, though. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed, like, as a kid, but also Protestants don't, well, maybe I don't know about all of them, but they don't, like, gatekeep communion, so, like, anyone could take it.
Oh, really?
So kids could take it, and, like, non-Christians could take it.
Yeah, I love communion. I would just eat. I would just eat this shit all the time.
The bread. Yeah, it's a
I
good
got a pack
snack.
upstairs just for late night snack when you're stoned. It's
The
great.
wafers?
Yeah, just the wafers. Yeah, it's not like blessed, so I'm not. It's not technically blasphemous. I don't think.
Sure.
Right.
You should clear that with, with somebody else.
Yeah, with my not you. Well, you went to Christian college, so you have some sway. You've got a little weight.
Sure. Were you raised anything?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic technically, but I got confirmed, did the whole thing. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I'm very holy. But yeah, that's why. I mean, the reason I thought it wasn't, like going from Catholic to Presbyterian or Methodist, I thought it was like a lot chiller. So, like, if you were going from the other two to Catholic, you'd have to go through all the sacraments and like get confirmed and like do all that stuff.
Yeah. Do adults who convert have to go through like First Holy Communion with the kids?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there were a couple that did it with us back in the day.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. You have like all these kids in their really cute dresses. And then you're just standing out there being like, yes, I can say the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, I mean, and also people that like congratulate you, like, oh, so you did so well, and you're like, these 4-year-olds did just as well as I did. It's fine.
Oh man.
But it's usually people that need Christ in their lives, I think, that are converting later, that late on,
That's a good
maybe.
point. That's a good point. I don't know anyone who's converted as an adult, but
Yeah. Okay, so you grew up like that, and then it doesn't sound like it was too strict in your family.
No. So my parents, like, I was a good kid because my sister was a bad kid. just to boil it down into like good and bad.
Right.
So I kind of like, they let me do whatever I wanted because I never wanted to do anything. Like, I never broke any rules, so
That they do.
they let me do whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So they were chill about things, like not like accepting of everybody. Like, I dated a Jewish guy in high school, and they weren't like upset about that or anything. So yeah, they were pretty chill in terms of like religious families, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so yeah, then what made you want to go to Christian college? Like I feel like that's only if you're in a religious family that makes you like go do that, right?
Yeah.
Unless you were having a come to Jesus moment or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess everyone has one of those, but not everyone. But I guess everyone who like ends up going to Christian college has one of those.
True.
But I don't know. I got like into it in high school because I don't know. Maybe like I never like was cool. I never fit in, and so I felt like when I was at church doing my thing, I felt like cool, and
like
the
part
people
of the
liked
community.
me. Yeah, part of the community. So I liked going to church and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah,
You like, paid attention? Did you have like a good priest and everything, or?
Yeah, she was fine. You know,
was it
allowed
she?
to have women. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was an enjoyable experience for me. Like my parents never made me go to church. I liked it, and I had friends there, and it just felt like this part of my life that I liked. Whereas school maybe like wasn't really a part of my life that I always liked.
Yeah.
So and it felt like my own thing, you know.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of I don't know. I feel like as a kid I was always contrarian.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that it wasn't like a popular thing that all the kids did, you know? I was like, this is my thing.
That's interesting.
And I'm like good at it. Not good at it, but I don't know. Like I go and I'm like treated like a person who's part of the community, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's interesting because most of us just turn to drugs. So I don't, you know, like when we feel like an outcast or like we want to belong somewhere, we're like, well, we can sit in a basement with 5 other guys that are zooted out of their brain. You know?
Yeah. So there's that. But I feel like I had hard times growing up. Like I don't know, some like bad kind of like traumatic things happened when I was like 13 or so. Mm-hmm. And I feel it was like not something that my family was talking about like with me. And I didn't really feel like it was stuff I could talk about with my friends. And it's like the whole, I guess, one whole part of like religion is that like you always have someone to like talk to about things, you know? And it's supposed to be someone who understands you and loves you and like will forgive you. Yeah. So I feel like that helped me get through like some like tough things for kids to handle.
Yeah. Was it like confession or are you just talking to God?
No, just like pray, you know, when like. And at that age too, I was so helpless. Like I couldn't do anything about the situation. So I was like, you know, praying about it was like one of the only things I could do, and it did make me feel better because you're like getting it out, you know, even though you're probably like just talking to yourself in your head, it feels better because you're kind of like verbalizing it in your own way and like telling someone or something.
You know? And I think that helps like kind of put it into perspective, but like also just help you realize that like, you know, it's not, I don't know, whatever it was, hopefully it wasn't your fault, but typically it's like being able to like put it out into something means it's kind of just like not a one-way thing. It's not like internal, you know what I mean? You're not just like constantly internalizing what happened.
Yeah, because then it just like you roll over everything in your mind. Yeah. And it never goes away. Yeah, so having that as an outlet of some kind was good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. I still would have turned to drugs. So, you know, kudos to you. But
yeah, I mean, that was... You know, having an older sister who like
true,
like made quote unquote bad choices that I like saw, and she's 6 years older than me.
Oh wow!
So when I was a little kid, I would like, you know, she'd like come home drunk as a teenager, and I'd be like, oh my god, that's so bad. But anyway, yeah, like she, you know, and she's, you know, had problems and struggled throughout. So that was kind of that was probably the main reason why I didn't like go down that kind of path. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. So you had a community in the church and everything, and so you probably had friends that were going to like Christian college too, right? Or
no. I feel like I cared more about it than all my friends because a lot
of your friends are like Christian college, really?
Yeah. Well, we would go to church, but we would just like kind of goof around there, and so I feel like I was one of the only people who took it seriously.
Oh.
Type thing.
Church mouse. That's fun.
No. But yeah, well, why I wanted to go, I think mostly was when one year my dad would do like the Ironman races at Lake Placid. Yeah. And we'd volunteer there, and so you'd have to have somewhere to stay. And we stayed at this church, and when I was like 14, 15, these girls stayed there and they went to Messiah and they were like so cool and so nice and so cool. Like I don't know, good Christians, and I was like, that's so cool. Like I would love to be in a place where everyone's like that. Mm-hmm. And then I like visited Messiah, and literally everyone was like that. Everyone was so nice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so. Yeah, that's so. So yeah, let's get into it. So I guess you moved there. You visited first, and people were just, I don't know. Everybody was nice.
Yeah, for sure.
They wear like uniforms.
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that was part of the thing.
Boarding school vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was recruited to swim there. I swam in college.
Oh, cool.
And so I did a visit with like the team, and I stayed with, like I went to like the practice and like stayed with some of the people, and yeah, everyone, and it's not an act either. Like people there are just some of the nicest people.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. And it sometimes gets to be a bit much, but when you're, and like in kind of awkward like 17-year-old kid who like has never really fit in, and you go somewhere where like everyone's on the same page kind of like everyone's so nice, outwardly friendly, and like taking stuff seriously it was really like welcoming and really cool.
Yeah, I do know some people like from my Catholic background because I went to Catholic school for like 4 years, like first grade through fourth grade.
The important years.
Right, yeah, the real crucial foundation of who I turned out to be. But I did know, like, I still kept in touch with a lot of them like through high school, and I felt like in high school, it was like people were forced to go there.
Yeah.
So there was like a real like fine line between like people that were like you're talking about, like kind of happy, like taking it seriously to be there, and really like kind of into it. And then the other half of people that were just bad people, not bad people, but more like your older sister, if you want to put it like that. But the people that I knew that were on like the kind of serious side of things it sounds like what you're talking about. Like they are very like nice and welcoming and everything. My favorite part of those people though is getting them to laugh at something bad.
Yeah.
I like giving them like a little nudge.
That was you.
Yeah.
The corrupting influence.
Just
Steve.
a little corruption. I'm not like fully, turning them into the dark
You're not
side.
like sign Satan's book right now. I bet you won't.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But yes, I guess like that's awesome. You showed up there, and did you like immediately make a bunch of, well, you probably had your swim team, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really easy, I feel like,
to make friends
compared to anywhere else in my life. Yeah, to make friends.
I had a tough time making friends in college, so that's good to know that.
Yeah.
that it's easy for some people.
Yeah, well, being on the swim team really helped because it's like you're immediately with all these people hanging out. Yeah, my best friend still today was my college roommate freshman year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, so I'm still kind of, so why did you decide, like to what makes you so are you trying to like say that you were really happy and it was a good experience and you loved every part of it?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, Messiah felt like the perfect place for like, I don't know, a week.
For a week?
And then, yeah, if that, because what they like, part of the moving in like orientation process is, I think at the end of like the week, you sign this thing called the community covenant.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you are signing your soul.
Yeah. You have to, they bring out the and it's like, it's not just like clicking a button. Like it's kind of like a process.
Oh, they make like a
bring
ritual
out the
of it?
document. Yeah.
Whoa, what is it? What's the process?
Oh, okay. It's so the community covenant, and I haven't looked at it recently, so things might have changed. I wouldn't like bet that they have changed, but they might have. So yeah, it's basically like I, while a student at Messiah College, I promise to like uphold my like Christian faith and values, and I will not like engage in premarital sex. I won't drink. I won't use tobacco. I won't like engage in homosexual behavior.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that like for me, the most problematic part, obviously.
Yeah. Because you like women? I don't know.
No, not personally. I mean, no, just in terms of like by not letting people be who they are, is that really like adding to the community, and is that really like fulfilling this thing of Christians are supposed to accept people?
Yeah. That must have made
Yeah.
you like look at like all these nice people a little differently.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, well, but you're also in, like, once you're in the community, like, you're in it, and
Right.
everyone and not that everyone, thought the same way about everything, but everyone still kind of has, like, that same attitude, and you're like, okay, well, I guess this is normal,
Yeah.
even though it's, like, it's certainly not, like, I don't know, in what other, like, part of the world are all these young people going to be like, yes, I promise not to do any of these fun things.
Right. All the fun parts of college you're not allowed to do.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as soon as they came out that, I was like, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were other points where everyone, I don't know, they were singing this one like contemporary Christian rock song.
So,
And everyone around us knew the words, and I was like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "You never listen to this like on the radio?"
What?
And I was like, "No, I don't listen to Christian rock on the radio. Is that all? I guess that's all you listen to."
Yeah, so I mean, did they like? Was that like at a church that you went to weekly, or was it just like at a random concert that like the students put on?
No, yeah, everything had like everything had like some kind of like worship element to it. Not everything, but like this was like part of like the ceremony. I think this was like maybe the last thing we did after we signed the community covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did have to go to. So another part I didn't.
Did you have to like cut your hand during the
Oh
covenant,
my
sign it
God,
with
yeah.
blood?
There we go.
Yeah.
We did have to we walked to like a big hill with like I don't want to say tiki torches.
And we slaughtered a lamb.
Yeah, it was definitely felt like ritual.
Right.
But
Tiki torches. That's cool. Did you?
there was some kind of torch. I don't know if it was a tiki torch.
Yeah.
I hope not, because now that seems cringe. But yeah. So another part that I didn't like was we had to go to chapel twice a week,
Oh wow.
and that is just like everyone would go to the gym, I guess. And it would be like a worship service where someone speaks and you like say like this prayers and you like sing songs. And there was the band was good, but it was like 8 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Damn.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah. Well, they expect you to go to bed early because you're not
it sucked.
engaging in terrible things. I guess
Yeah.
only bad things happen at night. I
Yeah.
suppose. But what about the music? You were saying like where did they perform these Christian rock songs?
Like at the okay. Interesting question. Because I forgot about this actually. So at the chapel they have like a band perform and you sing and they like put the words on the screen and you sing them.
Yeah.
But then there was also this thing called Powerhouse, which it was at some day of the week every week, and you just go in like the chapel, which is different from where we had chapel. Like there's this, I guess like it's just a church essentially on campus, and the band plays like Christian rock songs and everyone just like I don't know. It's like a concert where people are really into it,
Yeah.
but it's also like an emotional and like spiritual thing. So people are like crying, they're like really rocking out.
Yeah.
I never went to those.
Yeah. That's.
I think I went one time and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a little bit of emotion for a Tuesday morning. Or,
Yeah. No, these were at night.
Okay. All right.
Powerhouse was at night.
Yeah. What would be funny if you found out that a lot of these people were like just like tripping their balls off or something.
Oh my God.
And that's
can
why
you
they
imagine?
were so emotional.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So some people, so the rule at Messiah was you can drink even if you're 21, even if you go off campus.
What?
Yeah.
Even like you go home with your family, you're not
So
allowed to drink.
there's the only two carve outs to the rule is that you could, if you're 21, you can drink on like winter or summer break.
Okay.
Or
Rumspringa.
Or yeah, see if you come back after that. Or at any time, if you're 21, you can drink if you're with both of your parents.
Wow. They're
Not
really
an older sibling. Older sibling does not count. They specifically said that.
Wow. What are they trying to do with these kids? I guess.
Yeah, it's really, and you know what?
Yeah.
And so I think at first you're like, this is cool, and then eventually you get tired of all the rules because there's so many more rules. Like there's strict visitation. So
Did you have visitation like hours?
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
because like the girls and the guys can't like be together.
Oh, true. Yeah.
You know, unless there's certain rules that are followed. So like as a freshman, there's like strict visitation. Like only like boys, like males can only be in the girls' dorms. Like there was no visitation on like Mondays, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and it like got more lenient as you go through, but like, and then it gets to be annoying where it's just like, all right, I might want to hang out with my friends, but we can't hang out in anyone's dorm or like apartment or anything.
Yeah. Well, that's my question is like, so there's got to be some stories of, you know, like the rebels, you know what I mean? There's got to be some rebels down there. I want to hear some of that. That sounds like fun. Because that's kind of what I miss about like high school a little bit is like being kind of, you know, you have to be discreet, you're sneaking around, you know. It kind of makes it more fun to, you know, now I could just like smoke weed in my house or something, you know, and it's just like, this is.
See, you weren't anxious enough because whenever I did something moderately wrong, I was like, my parents are going to know, the cops are going to be here any minute.
That's the excitement. That's the fun part. All right.
You know, we have different styles, and that's all good, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, no, people would break the rules, obviously.
Yeah.
I was never invited to a single party.
Aww.
I don't know where they occurred. Like, I really don't, because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's in central Pennsylvania. So I don't know where they were going. But people would, like, guys on the swim team got in trouble because they drank before, like, the one glow dance we had. Which is like, why would you go to the glow dance sober? I don't know why we did that. So they had the right idea.
Yeah.
But they got in trouble and they weren't allowed to swim at the first, like, couple meets, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, there was, like, a peer review board that you had to go before if you got caught drinking.
Yeah, did you have like a certain amount of strikes, like if something happened?
You just like have to go before the peer review board, and they usually just are like, okay, do community service.
You broke the covenant.
Yeah. You get flogged. It sucks.
They bend you.
The women get stoned. Yeah. But if you were friends with someone on the peer review board, like.
Really?
You'd be fine. Yeah.
Oh, so now that you're bringing in like the court system into it, where it's like, well, we know somebody.
I know, it was kind of corrupt. The guy who was in charge of the peer review board my last year, like, really liked me, and so I knew that like I would never get in trouble. I mean, I honestly didn't break the rules or anything. I was lame, but I knew that I would be in like fine shape.
It's so funny hearing all this and knowing you now.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm a rule follower.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know. It was so, but you know what? So it was obviously boring and different, and I didn't realize like how much of a like unique college experience it was until I left.
You just accepted it.
Yeah, I was like, you know, and I was like, yeah, this is different, obviously, but you know, a lot of students probably like take stuff seriously and like don't like party crazy or anything. And then I went to law school where it's like should be all the people who like took school seriously, and it was like no. I was like I feel so different, you know. Like that was when I was able to appreciate like it was a really, really different experience that most people are like will like never get.
Yeah, that is interesting because a lot of people, you're right, a lot of people, I didn't realize that either. I met somebody at the gym and he was like, yeah, I'm going to law school. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Is it like because you follow the law a lot or something? I don't know.
I love the law.
And he was just like, no, it's just like I'm smart, but I don't know what I want to do. And law school is a good place to just do anything. So I don't know. He was like, yeah, I mean, I do.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, going back to like breaking the rules.
Right.
A funny story. So when you get to be like a junior or senior, you could get an on-campus apartment.
Okay.
And there really is no like off-campus housing. Like you need to get special permission to live off campus.
Wow.
So mostly like all the juniors and seniors live in these apartments, which is like 5 people in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Classic college.
Terrible. Yeah.
But
this guy on my swim team, we went home for break, and his roommate like didn't, I guess, like take out the recycling, and so I don't know. I guess they like inspect the rooms over break just to, I guess, assess. I don't know. Maybe they're just snooping. Maybe they're like seeing if like,
they?
like I guess the RAs and stuff, or like the.
So they did off-campus housing they inspected?
No, this was on campus.
Oh, this was on campus.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and there were like, there was like
messed up. They can just come in.
I know. I was like, did they do that to everyone's, or were they like suspect? Because they might have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they had like beer bottles in the recycling, and so then they searched the whole apartment.
Oh shit.
And he got charged with like 49 counts of contraband. And I was like, that's incredible that they like inventoried all of it. And he's like, dude, I had beer in the ceiling above the shower. So they looked like in the ceiling above the shower. And I was like, that's incredible that they did that thorough of a search on this apartment.
Yeah.
And they like they truly like everything they had that they weren't supposed to have, they took. Wow. 'Cause he had like a Swiss Army knife or something.
You can't have a Swiss Army knife?
No. Contraband.
Contraband? I'm just trying to open a box. That's crazy.
Yeah, like fire. They were dumb like boys. So they had like fireworks. They had a chainsaw without a chain for whatever
cool.
reason. And he got all of it taken from.
49 counts of I thought it was just like 49 beers or something, but
they did count like each beer individually and like the case individually.
Well, I can't imagine having to hide beer above my shower ceiling.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's like I just watched that Always Sunny episode where they're like quarantining and they're not supposed to be drinking at all, and Dee's like up in the ceiling just eating pizza and drinking beer. That's a funny thing.
That was us at Messiah.
Yeah, that's wild though. I can't believe that. What happens if you get charged with contraband?
You just have to go before the peer review board, and I think my friend
service.
I confirmed. I was like, "Do you know someone on it?" Because like I know a guy, and he's like, "No, I do." And I was like, "Okay, good."
Yeah, and it's just community service. I feel like you probably.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if they've ever kicked anyone. I'm sure they've kicked people out.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't. If there was just like a one-time thing, I'm sure they wouldn't do anything that serious. You probably like I don't know. You probably give you a hard time about like maybe you get like last dibs on registering for classes or something like that. But
well, and you probably had like mandatory community service anyways too, right?
Yeah, and that's something that I liked about like Christianity back then was like it's service based, and that's. I didn't really care about, I don't know, the dumb stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's
even like all of the like the doctrine, I don't know, like it doesn't really matter to me like if these things in the Bible actually happened or not, but it was like people who like care, you know, and like want to do good things in the world. And that's like was a lot of Messiah, so that was good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that's kind of my question, kind of circling back is like what were they trying to shape out of these kids? Were they trying to get you to be like priests and like you know like go into even more like work at the school or do like you know Christian based jobs? Like your classes were they all kind of like skewed towards you know learning the religion and like learning the values of the religion?
Yeah, I mean, so curriculum wise, beyond the required classes, which like everyone had to take Bible, everyone had to take. I don't know, something. Oh, created and called for a community.
What is that?
Terrible class. I don't know. We learned about like the creation.
Oh wow.
Okay. And a calling, which is like vocation, and community, which was like service, maybe. But that was like a more like Christian Bible based class.
Yeah. When did they teach that creation was? When was it? It was like
we didn't get into the specifics.
Oh, okay. Right.
Beyond like those classes that we had to take, like all the other classes were. I think the same that you would find at like most other liberal arts schools.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like the professor might like open up with a prayer or something, but beyond that, if it wasn't like all the math classes or like history and stuff like are all pretty much the same as you'd get other else. And like all really good. Like I think I got a really good education there.
Oh, well that's good. Yeah, because I mean I feel like they are usually a little bit more expensive, but for the reason of you get technically a better education.
Yeah. And your kids will at least appear like they are upstanding people who follow rules and like won't get assaulted and stuff like that.
Well, that's my question. In college, I think I had quite a few conversations, usually drunk and or stoned, conversations about like religion. So I wonder, like at a Christian college, like what a late night, like deep conversation was like putting yourself in a situation like that.
Well, we had like swim team had Bible studies. Every like Sunday or something like that, and so in like groups would have Bible studies. So that's the kind of time that you got to like hash it out and like talk about like different ideas and stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah, was it okay to like express doubts and stuff and like really open up about things like that?
Yeah, for sure, especially because it's like you kind of do that stuff with your friends,
right?
So yeah, I definitely like had disagreements with my friends over stuff, but it was like nothing ever taken personally.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's like, it kind of was like, you know, in some ways an intellectual thing, and in some ways like a spiritual thing. So it was just cool to be able to like gather in groups and do that kind of stuff, because I don't know, I guess there's probably like secular versions of that, just like different like events and stuff that you'd have discussions in at like normal school.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that like like you did regularly.
Sounds like it was kind of facilitated a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually like everything like that just like started to annoy me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So by the end, well, that's my question. Is like, are you still like fully Christian?
like in the way that I was back then, no.
Yeah. Law school was too harsh.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They were. I don't know. It's just. I think by the end of and I graduated in 3 years, so I didn't even like go
nice.
the full time that like most people go.
Yeah.
But like by the end of it, I was feeling like I'm ready to leave here. I'm like tired of, I don't know, like all like these like various rules. And it's like it's so much. There's so much just like forced on you and just expected of you, and it's so like becomes part of your schedule in your life that, you know, once you go out and none of those things just to like set up for you, it becomes like totally different, and it's something that you actively have to like want to do to make it part of your life. And I was so burnt out from that stuff personally, and like, you know, a lot of people I know too, where it's after it was like I need to like take a break from this, and I don't really have an interest in, you know, putting in a ton of effort, and you also like if you move somewhere. So I moved to Philly to go to law school, and it's like a lot of effort finding like a church that you like.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah. And it's time taken out of your day, or it's like, you know, time is valuable.
Other productive things.
Be studying. Yeah. So yeah, for me, like it all kind of fell away, and and just being in a very different culture, a very different place where it's just no one really is like participating in that or like thinking that way. It just becomes really easy to like see how that's not maybe like as an important part of your life as it was back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think the cool part about it is that, like you said, is like they did give you kind of a structure. You know what I mean? So like if you felt like you needed or just wanted to come back to it, or felt like you had strayed too far with the devil or something, you know what I mean? You would have resources, and, you know, you'd still have all your friends, and you would know how to get back into that life if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really glad that I went to, you know, another kind of school after, because I feel like if I had gone to Messiah and like lived in that world for 3 or 4 years and then just entered society, I don't know. Like, I think I would be at such a disadvantage because I wouldn't understand how people, like average people, like, I don't know, just like went about life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it is such a different place where everyone is kind of the same in like the big ways.
Yeah.
And you just have no idea that like what other people who are your age, who are your peers, are doing. So it's definitely and like I think about whether like when I have kids, if I like would want them to go, and I'm like, yes and no, yes and no. Yes, because they'll probably be like way safer than otherwise, but it's just a really kind of like siloed community.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you're still you're not opposed entirely, but
no, I would never like expect it.
Yeah.
Because it's just and you have to want to be there. If you like didn't want to do any of that stuff and we're stuck there, that would suck.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, can you imagine? You'd feel like you were in prison, probably.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like it with visitation hours and shit like that. That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's cool. I don't think I would ever do it, but I think it's good to know, like I said, like that's there for people that need it, and especially because you went into it with the right reasons. It's not like your parents forced you, or you like went there for like the schooling and then got caught up in like the the structure and like the contract that you had to sign and all that stuff.
I really had to abide by that contract.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got most tired of it so at one point in my last year, which was like my third year, so it was like junior/senior, but I think that's when, maybe that's the year that the like Obergefell decision, which legalized gay marriage, came out from the Supreme Court. Or it was like shortly thereafter, where people were still grappling with like the new, I guess, reality, and like just like the changes happening, like really positive changes happening. And so there was like the student newspaper did an article about how the community covenant that says it didn't say you can't be gay, but it says you can't perform like homosexual behavior, about how, like, what are we going to do with that? Is that, given what's happening and like how like the country is changing, like do we have a responsibility to like scrutinize that and think about how that's maybe not something that we should be like telling students to do, because there's like tons of problems with it. Like, first of all, like, what is homosexual behavior? If you are gay, is anything you do homosexual behavior?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you could argue that. So it's like not helpful in that way,
right?
Because it really just sends a message of like, we don't want gay people here, which is like so antithetical to what a lot of students thought.
And I feel like they already covered a lot of it with no sexual, like premarital sex or
right. So you can't have any kind of sex.
Yeah, we understand.
So why do you need to add something in extra?
Yeah,
right. Because it's like, okay, so if I hold hands with another woman,
you have to say no homo. That's in the contract.
No homo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of students were like, yeah, we need to like take action about this. We don't want this to be part of our community. Mm-hmm. And so I was on like some kind of student government committee, and we wanted to like explore like what we could do to change it. Yeah. And we met with the provost, and he was so dismissive of us, like the way that he like the topic was proposed, and he said, well, like, we're not going to do anything about that until there's like a definitive like rule from someone, I guess the Supreme Court, saying that like you can't. And I was so like upset and angered by that, because I was like, you have students like saying that they want to like take proactive action on something, and there's also consequences, like when they legalized interracial marriage, there was one college, a Christian college, Baum Jones, that didn't allow like interracial couples to live together on campus, and they lost their federal funding.
Damn.
And so like that could potentially happen to Messiah if whatever like power that be decides that like this is like a protected thing and you're not allowed to discriminate based on that, and they say, oh, too bad, and like none of their students could get federal aid. And that was just like treated like a joke, and it was so upsetting. And I think that's really when I got like tired of it and was like, well, this is like not the place that it says it is. If this is how we treat like student concerns, like this is how we treat our students, like in such a dismissive way.
I think it goes back to like what the same reason that you joined in the first place, because it was about like the Christian values, and like not you were saying like I could give her a shit about whether the Bible like the shit in the Bible actually happened, but it's like the community that you felt like you were connected to, and you felt was open to outcasts, like you felt like, and then they were saying like, oh, these outcasts, not them.
Yeah,
they're not allowed here.
Yeah,
and that's terrible.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think when it became clear they weren't going to do anything about that, and this was right after I left, but they had to make like, not they had to, but students felt compelled to make like an underground like Messiah allies group.
Yeah. That's cool.
That was like LGBT
Damn,
positive.
They got rebels at the Messiah.
And I was like, isn't that sad that the allies group has to be underground? But they were like, they weren't an official school organization, because I mean, if they got found out, like they would probably be like charged with breaking the community covenant or something.
And then they'd have to do like a community service or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know that they actually would, because I'm sure that'd be like a PR nightmare for the school, but yeah. And so they would write like encouraging messages in rainbow chalk, and it'd be a big deal. And I was like, this is like such a terrible place for like gay people. And I knew like, you know, I knew some people while I was there. Like I didn't know anyone while I was there who was out.
Okay.
And a lot of, you know, a few people who I was friends with like have since come out. And it just is so terrible to think of, you know, what, you know, their experience.
How much they had to hide their personality.
Yeah. And for, you know, for 4 years, that's not an insignificant period of time.
Well, especially those 4 years too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very formative.
Yeah. So it's just like so unnecessarily, you know, hostile and unfriendly to like really good people, like really talented students. So, and it's a shame. So that was, I think, when I decided I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And then the students also tried to change the alcohol rules so that, and the only thing they wanted to change was that you were allowed to drink off campus if you were 21.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah,
that seems like like an easy ask.
Yeah.
They did the whole like student legislative process where it's like they needed to get, I think, like a lot of student signatures and go through like all the steps, and the final steps was like going up to the board of directors and getting approval, and they like voted it down.
They vetoed it right at the end.
Yeah.
They did everything up to that point.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think, so those two things were just like, they don't give a shit about what we want. And they're like just, you know, unnecessarily like hostile and dismissive to any kind of change for the better.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the church, the lesson is that the church isn't going to reform
Yeah.
for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not it's like, maybe it's not as big of a David and Goliath thing, but like people trying to reform the government. You know, there's things that are set in stone, like structures that are, you know, Christianity's been around since fucking zero.
Yeah.
So it's like these kids, like, and the world is changing, we're changing, let's stand up for these changes. And they're like, well, yeah, but money. Or, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like they're not even doing it because they care about homosexual urges or whatever. There's just like, yeah, if we do this, then maybe we'll lose funding from these rich other Christian people.
Yeah.
That, you know
or
what I
like
mean?
certain donors. Yeah. Certain donors will be mad about it and they won't give us money.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, yeah. And and when you're that young, you are like, idealistic, and you see, I felt like, and this was before 2016 too, like the election. So I remember feeling like
the time rift.
Yeah, I remember feeling like the world was changing in a positive direction, and it was going to get so much better over time for everyone, for like every disadvantaged group. Like I saw this like, you know, upward trajectory. And then my school was just like, no, sorry. Like, we have no interest in changing. And then the election happened.
Yeah, 2016. Very strange. Everybody acknowledges that as like a turn.
Yeah.
Like literally like a rift in time where I think we split off into a parallel universe.
Did you feel like before that happened that like, did you see like an optimistic like arc?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like I felt very like internally, like, you know, the internet was like a big thing. Like it was kind of getting into like the rhythm of what it was, and it felt like it was connecting me and, you know, my peers, and like it felt like a lot of artists, like 2014 especially was a great year for like, you know, movies. It's kind of weird to relate it to like movies and TV, but I think a lot of the time, you know, art, you know, imitates life imitates art or whatever. So like there was a period where I'm like, oh, this is great content. Like I'm getting a lot of good stuff. I have all these opportunities set out. And then like my life, I was kind of depressed already, but things started to look up. And I was like making friends at that point and everything. Everything seemed kind of like it was going in a good direction. And then the election happened. It was even funny because it was like I was like so involved in South Park at that point, and they had created a whole like time or like a whole season around the election with Hillary winning. And then she didn't win,
Yeah.
and they had to like come up with like a random episode because it was like, oh, this is a really good season. This is a great season.
I didn't know that.
And then
That's
it fucked up
crazy.
the whole season because it was just like, oh, this is not.
They should have just kept it going, and like
Yeah.
we could pretend at least while we were watching South Park that the world wasn't like falling to shit.
Yeah. Well, we did get one good joke out of it where they like talked to Bill Clinton after it, and he's just like, Hillary is pissed.
I can imagine that too in the Bill Clinton voice.
Yeah. And then I went to juvie right after that, so that was like, you know.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, cut off right
Not a
there.
good time at all.
It was terrible. But now we're in this reality, so maybe we will get another opportunity to kind of turn things around.
Yeah, I hope so. And you know what?
I feel like we're on a good direction.
And honestly, so we haven't really talked about like the politics of like Messiah or like the student base.
Yeah.
But I would say that obviously a lot of people there were much more conservative than like the general people, like that general age group.
Right. Yeah, for a
but-
liberal, like you said like a liberal arts school, and I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah,
it's that similar to a liberal arts school.
Right. In that way, no. So obviously a lot of people, there were people who were more conservative but a lot of people weren't really like politically aware either. Like
Yeah,
I think
in
a lot of
college.
people were just like hanging out. I generally like feel this way about things, but I'm not really like in tune into what's going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like most people were like that. So they weren't like social justice like warriors by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I was like the token liberal person. And mind you, I was a registered Republican when I went to Messiah,
Oh wow.
as my parents were, and that's how I was like brought up.
Yeah.
And so Messiah radicalized me politically, if you could believe it.
Yeah.
No, I just took classes like I took like a social inequality class, and I was like, whoa, I feel like the wool has been like lifted from my eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was good for me in that way, but like staying like in connection with people, staying in contact with people who I knew at Messiah has been kind of
Challenging.
no, well, I mean, some people you just like are like, all right, I'm unfriending you because I don't need to see this. But it's been like uplifting in a lot of
Oh.
ways because, there have been so many kind of like mobilizing like social justice issues that have happened. And now and when I see someone from Messiah like post like a Black Lives Matters something or post like a reproductive justice something, that is crazy to me because like no one was doing that like back then
It was in the
when I
covenant.
was there, like no one was doing that. And now I'm seeing like, all right, like, and so I'm like, people are capable of changing and evolving. And like, even though the institution of Messiah wasn't, like a lot of people that I knew there who would not have said any of this stuff or like stuck up for any of these like people groups like are doing it now. And even like in the performative bullshit, like social
Yeah.
media way, but like that's better than it was before,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, when I see stuff like that, it does make me like happy and hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
Because my parents too. My parents, like, they didn't give a shit about Ferguson,
Oh wow.
and no one else I knew did either. But now, like, my mom went to a BLM rally,
Okay. That's cool.
and like they really care about this stuff now. So, yeah, it has given me like a gauge, I guess, to see that. Maybe things are
Yeah.
moving in a forward direction
Yeah,
slowly.
that's cool. Yeah, and like people that you may have thought of like super conservative, it's just kind of having a touch. You're not in an echo chamber, I think, is what's important about that, which is cool because, that's like, I think what a lot of people get caught in. Like if they went to a liberal arts school, then they only see liberal arts things on their
Yeah.
timeline and everything, and you really don't have any conversation with the other side. And like, I mean, if you fundamentally disagree, you're allowed to fundamentally disagree,
Yeah.
but like, don't just feed yourself your own misinformation a lot of the time,
Yeah, for sure. That's another thing that I'm glad like that I went to Messiah for is that I feel like I've been able to see both sides, and I see how both sides, and that's like there's no specific line that I'm talking about
Right.
here, but just like people in that like kind of world and people in like the more like secular world, there's just like nuance that is missed on like both sides, you know, where it's like, I feel like there's the impulse to be, you know, and Christian people, like in Christianity, like can be like exclusive of people for like stupid reasons, like we talked about. And so like it's not even that the criticism is undeserved, but it's just like the inability to see the nuance of being like, yeah, this is this is an institution that's flawed in a lot of ways, but like can be good for people in a lot of ways too, you know? So, you know, and I think there's just an impulse to be like, you know, you're stupid if you believe any of that stuff. Yeah. And I get it. Well, but I've known so many really intelligent people who have like really bad views that I disagree with. But like one of my professors, smartest person he taught Middle Eastern politics, and he was blind, in the way he rattled off these like everything like policy. He was like, oh yeah, so you'll recognize that like in 1848 and I was like, oh my God, like a big anti-abortion advocate. Oh wow. And so, but knowing people who are, you know, are truly smart and able to like hold these views that are contrary to yours. Yeah. It just enables you to see the kind of like complexity in people and individuals. I agree. That's important for like, you know, living life, especially now, you know? Yeah, I mean, I kind of have been relating it in my head to like, you know, I come from Ohio and now I'm in, you know, Philadelphia. Yeah. Like, so there's, you know, two different sides of the spectrum. But I mean, even, you know, my family, I love all of my family, and I know that they're really smart and successful people. And so, you know, some of them have fairly conservative views. And so it's like, it's important for me to be like, all right, I love this person. I know that they're, you know, a smart person. So while I may disagree, you can't just like discount what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's more complex than that. Yeah. And I think that's one side that at least a lot of people here, you know, and that kind of would lean the other way, are missing. Because they say, oh, maybe the people on the, you know, again, it's not even just politically, but like just certain things, but say more conservative, or like they don't have enough empathy for, you know, groups. And it's like, well, you need to have empathy for them in their specific ways. And it's hard, especially if you haven't like been around a ton of people. Like those people haven't been in your life forever. So yeah, and on the reverse side, like I'm able to look back now and see how much that from being like in that tight knit, really like siloed community, I was judging other people, you know, and not even like for like premarital sex. Yeah, not for that. I mean, maybe I don't know. Like, did I think people were like sluts? No, I don't think so. But right, you're just like, because you're told like what to do and what's acceptable behavior, and everyone acts that way, and so you like look at people your age who are like, drinking, and you're like, oh my God, they've gone down such a bad path. Like I legitimately like felt like bad for some of my friends. I was like, oh man. And like I looking back, that's obviously silly. And so I'm glad that I have both perspectives of, you know, people, just because someone doesn't like ascribe to like any particular kind of religion, like they could have like, you know, they have their own like moral values that they've learned from various like aspects of life. And they're like, you know, can be completely upstanding people, and you know how you behave and treat people is more important than if you like drink or do drugs, you know? Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's like something I wrestle with myself, you know, I mean, like, yeah, I have my bad habits and vices that I give into maybe a little too much, but I don't let it affect the people around me, you know what I mean? I don't like turn it into something that's going to be self-destructive or even, you know, destructive for other people as well. So I feel bad that like maybe I missed out on like being a little self-destructive. Yeah. But like, you know, you could always get that later in life. Right. But yeah, and what I say to Jamie is that like if I had met him in college, never would have spoke to him. Wow. Yeah. And then, like wouldn't have been interested in him at all. Yeah. Just because like he was in a frat, and we were obviously had like two completely different experiences at that time. Right. But now like I know Jamie is like an incredible person, and I just feel bad like knowing that maybe I missed out on knowing some really like incredible people. Yeah. Very true. During that period. But like whatever, I couldn't meet them. I was in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, and, you can't like second guess that at this point now. You know what I mean? It's
but yeah, so
happened.
right. I feel like it would have been a bigger loss if after Messiah I had entered the real world and I was like, I'm only going to associate with like these people from like a church or whatever. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Yeah, no, that is really cool to be able to put yourself like, because I feel like I had a similar experience, but when I was like really young and like getting into my church thing, I would feel the same way. Or like, you know, when you're young and people start drinking, you're like, oh my God, they're drinking.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Or something like that. But that was through college, so you were like cognizant. Where, you know, I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
So that's cool. No, that's a really cool perspective that not many people get to have. So yeah, I'm glad that you're appreciative of it, and wanted to talk about it on my podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, no, seriously, I do appreciate it. I learned a lot, and thanks for coming out here and recording with me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This was cool to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Lydia. Well, thanks so much. Have a good one.